All right, I don't know about you guys, but I feel like buying some electronics. I'm Kill2. I'm here with Ravy in the commentary booth for the first match of the second half of Day 2 of Alliance Tournament 9. We have the amazing Pandemic Legion versus Unaffiliated. On your left, Pandemic Legion have brought their jamming setup: 2 Slipners, 3 Rooks, Scimitar, Thrasher, and 3 Kitsune.
And on the right-hand side of the screen, you've got Unaffiliated with a Battle Cruiser heavy team. It's 3 Brutixes, 3 Hurricanes, and a Neros, a Curse, and 2 Sabres.
And the countdown's about to finish, so we'll be underway right at the start. And as far as ranges go, the Unaffiliated teams brought everything to the beacon except for the 2 Sabres and their Oneros. Pandemic Legion, everything far from the beacon except for their 2 Slipners.
And I'm sure the forums are going to love seeing this setup once again from PL, since I know you guys loved it so much the last time. We're seeing damage applied onto the Curse of Unaffiliated from the PL team. No damage of any significance yet onto PL, but we'll see if that holds up.
And the reality of this exact matchup right here is that there's no chance for Unaffiliated to get a lock. This jam setup Pandemic Legion has brought has shown to be effective against a range of setups. The one that Unaffiliated have brought here is probably at the top of the list of those. No sensor strength, a mix of different races. There's really not a lot of room for them to do anything here.
Yeah, I'm expecting the PL is going to have a relatively easy time with this matchup. We are seeing some damage applied to Wiseman or his Kitsune, but now that's been repped right back up again in a Scimitar.
And the Curse is dead, so that was maybe one of their kind of a ship that potentially could help out in this situation. Slightly higher sensor strength and some newts, but it's gone already, and now they've started working on the first Brutix. And
also, we're seeing some damage onto an Unaffiliated Sabre as well. A Curse is an excellent ship to have against an ECM team, but in this case, I don't think a single Curse was enough. Having more Curses and possibly some more Recons, along with limiting the number of races that you field, probably would have given them a stronger team against this.
Now, Ravy, obviously, someone of extreme intelligence probably did work to create this jamming setup that PL is running. I wonder if you could guess at what sort of setup that person might fear for Pandemic Legion to run into, since they're pretty comfortable against what Unaffiliated's brought in this situation.
We have seen some of the setups earlier that do work well against ECM teams. Setups that use single race or double races, they use all 10 ships, especially they use races that are less commonly fielded, especially Ammar, but also Galente, and that have a lot of ships that have high sensor strength, like recon ships, for instance.
All right. Well, ships falling fast. 2 Brutix is dead now. The third one about to drop, and we did lose a Frig or 2 for... Actually, just 1 Frig for Unaffiliated Sabre, I believe. So
now we're seeing another Brutix dropping quite quickly. Those Slevners do a lot of damage, and the Rooks are also adding a lot with their missiles.
So with a team like what Pandemic Legion's got here, how does range influence the effectiveness of the jamming ships? I mean, could a Tengu team, get themselves far enough away? Could they, get far enough away from the Kitsunes? Is that an option?
If they're fast enough to be able to hold range, then yes, that could work quite well. The jamming optimals on these ships is between 50 and 70 kilometers, so once you get out past that, they're in fall off. But that being said, the Rooks and Kitsunes are both quite fast, so you'd really need to have very, very speedy Tengus to be able to pull that off.
And of course, here they've run into Brutixes and Hurricanes, which want to be about as close as possible. So that's not an option in this specific case. Another Sabre down, another Hurricane already dropped. So Pandemic Legion, as usual, showing us a flawless effort. And I wonder, how many times do you think we might see this setup here?
We'll see. I obviously don't know. It's up to Seamus how often he's going to use it. But this is a setup that works well against teams that aren't prepared for it. So I wouldn't expect that we'd run it all the way through by any means. But you never know.
Here's another question. If this setup, this PL setup, obviously has done really, really well. It's like this is maybe the 4th time it's been fielded over the course of the last tournament.
Yeah, twice last year. This is the 2nd time this year.
So why aren't other teams picking up this setup?
I think it's a difficult setup to use effectively. You have to assign your jammers on the fly with a relatively short amount of time after arriving on the field. It's also the kind of team that only really works if the opposing teams aren't considering how they're going to face ECM teams.
All right, so they've chewed through pretty much everything now. The Scimitar for Unaffiliated went down a couple seconds ago. The first Hurricane, or second Hurricane, did they have 3 to start?
Yes, they had 3 to start.
So the second one's about to drop, and then we just got 1 left. I don't know that this last one can turn it around, but I hope so.
I very much doubt it, but never know. I think it'll be very interesting to see what Hydra brings next match, because on next Saturday, just over a week from today, or just under a week from today, we will see Hydra versus PL in a rematch of the finals from last year.
Yeah, and as Michael Bolton was saying, if we get 2 wins here, that could be a pretty interesting match, considering neither of them have anything to gain or lose.
Yeah, well, if Hydra wins, we may see some very entertaining setups, as both teams would just want to hide their actual good stuff until later.
Maybe something could be arranged. Maybe me and you can broker an
I think
arrangement
we could
for a
probably pull that
specific sort of. Maybe we could have a vote on the forums.
Yes,
and me and
I
you
think
could just demand that the teams do whatever people want.
I would definitely be willing to advocate for the forums. I know you guys probably aren't too happy about the ECM team, but hopefully we'll have something more entertaining for you next week.
All right, so with that, and with that hurricane explosion right there, we will go back to the studio.